Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them, and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking
Yeah.
through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes, get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN.
Hi, Mel.
Hi, what's happening?
We had our Zoom hangs last night. Those were fun.
They were fun.
I always love how they each have their own personality. They take on their own life, and it's always different one group to the next.
It's true. And usually we have the Euros in the first hang, except for the second hang, we did have Sam from Scotland. And Sam, we hope that you got a really good nap. And you were a trooper for showing up that late.
2 a.m. for her. Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Barf.
To those who came, thank you. It's always so fun to get to know you and to meet you guys, quote, in person, face to face.
Yeah, at least we get to put names to faces, so that's always fun. And we had quite a few new faces yesterday, so I always enjoy that. And I like to see the oldies too.
The oldies.
The oldies but the goodies, even if they're young geese. I don't know. Those aren't even words.
How about we just call them the OGs? I think
the OGs.
Very age neutral. I apologize for Anita.
I'm sorry, am I offending you? It's fine. What else is going on in your life?
Well, I'm going crazy because technology is kicking my butt right now. And no, it's not because I don't know how to use it. It's because I swear somebody or something is messing with my technology.
You're being haunted.
I'm blaming it on Sarah's husband because I have had issues editing this episode that's coming up after this. Like, I lost my files, my hard drive crashed, I had to take it apart, so many things. And then when I edited the next part of it, when I finally got the files back, then there were glitches all over when I was editing. Like, I've never had these issues before. So, Sarah, would Nathan do that?
Get your dead husband under control.
And then Anita started having issues with her technology when I was having issues with mine. That's why I think it's Nathan.
Yeah, or a solar flare. Those are the two options, I guess.
It's probably that.
That's what it always is in the zombie movies or whatever, the solar flare.
So I'm doing okay. It's just we're getting to the end of the night.
Yeah.
And usually we're done by now. So I'm hoping that you all get this at the usual time on Monday, which I think you will. But man, I kind of had a zombie-like week. The week following the death anniversary of Scott, which I think it actually went really well. But then we found out that a friend of ours has become a widow again, and it just brings up feelings and things that you think about. And so I've played a lot of Nintendo to try and get my brain sucked out of the vortex of going down the rabbit holes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were texting each other that when we found out that news, I wanted to throw up. Like, I felt physically so upset for her. And then we both talked about how we had to, like, and this happens a lot because you can start taking on other people's grief, and then it makes your grief worse. And so that you have to have a way to kind of not put up a wall, but kind of disconnect from other people's grief. Otherwise, it can just swallow you whole.
It's true. I was talking to my therapist about this in therapy this week, because I think that all of us that are widows, we do have that empathy to those that are in our same situation. And it is easy to go there. And I know you and I, Anita, like, we bounce thoughts off each other all the time. Like, well, it's not my loss. Am I hijacking this person's grief by feeling something about it? But then at the same time, that's what empathy is. And the line is never a line, it seems like. It's
a squiggle with some swirlies.
Yeah. We have to work on gaining skills in knowing when enough is enough for us to shut off for a little bit, and then when we can give. Mm-hmm. So I've been dealing with that this week. Not that I'm in the presence of, the situation at hand. It just is, we talk to a lot of widows all the time. And so we're constantly discussing these things. So yeah, it's interesting.
Somebody talked about the word grief tourist, where you try and jump on somebody else's grief also. And it's like, where is the appropriate line to feel somebody else's pain, to try and be empathetic, to try and help them? When is it for your own benefit? Which sounds like a really weird thing to say, but we all know that there are those people who barely knew our person, and as soon as they died, they were, he was my best friend, and you're like, I haven't seen you in 27 years. Don't try and be a part of this. So yeah, it's a lot of muddy water, and Melissa, we don't know what to say. It's just awful.
We love you so much and have no words. And I've decided there are not enough swear words in any language to do justice to your situation.
Yeah, I just want Liz to know that I actually dropped the F-bomb.
So. She did. I have it on a text. You guys.
Sorry, Mom. It was really awful.
I was teaching when I found out, and I had to finish the lesson and try to not throw up. And that was a really hard 15 minutes. But yeah, man, death sucks. Going through death of a spouse again. I don't even know how people do it.
It's not fair.
And we don't mean anything trite by saying that in those words, but I'm just looking at, I'm 4 years, you're about 3 years, and just the daily struggle that it is and how much you have to work. It's a lot of work. And then to know what's coming when it happens again, it is so much energy. So I think you should send a lot of chocolate and a lot of caffeine.
In good news, Mel, I'm out of COVID isolation. I have emerged back into the world, which I'm so thankful for. Being with my kids it was 15 days nonstop. Oh, that was a harrowing experience, but I'm glad to say that we're all still here. All of our limbs are attached. Nobody lost a toe. It's great.
Nobody had to go to the ER for cutting another one with scissors.
Nope, nothing like that. So we're out.
I got to see you the day that you were released, and it was the best. It was nice to see you out.
This is so funny. Mel's like, are you dead? We always joke with each other via text, like if the other one hasn't responded, are you dead? And then the other one will respond, yes. And then we'll say, rip, or, whatever. Anyway, I was like, I'm dead until November 12th, but then I will be resurrected.
Hence, many memes came after that. Hey, Sunshine, yes. She can make you a meme.
She got the Meme Maker 2000. Yes, amazing.
So this week is going to be fun for us because Anita and I won a contest.
Tomorrow, which will be the day that this comes out, we will be heading to go to a mountain bike clinic, which is going to be so fun. And I need to get away from my kids, so I'm so excited.
It's the perfect time. And The thing that's going to be the best is before that, I have a recording session, this time with no creepers. I handpicked everybody that's going to be on the session, so don't anybody worry. And Anita's going to come so that we can carpool on the way down after this. And she might even get to fulfill her lifelong dream of hand clapping on an album.
Always wanted to do that. Come on. Who is the lucky person who gets to clap? You know, I want to do it.
Okay, you're hired for free.
Yes, I'll do it.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that too. I think that'll be fun. And then we're going to get nachos at the gas station.
Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts, and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor. The only thing I request.
Yes.
Gas station nachos. The last time we tried for gas station nachos, we were denied.
Yeah, they ran out of the fake cheese, jerks.
You know, she's like, you can come back in 2 months.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, don't you remember? She was like, no, the cheese machine was broken. And she's like, we'll be getting a new one in 2 months. So come back then. And I was like, okay.
Also, rip me. Rest in peace.
Bye. It was funny.
Wow.
Guys, come to the Widow Wives Club. Come one, come all. Well, actually, only if you're a widow, widower, or somebody who's lost their partner. No creepers allowed. No weirdos allowed. Well, I guess that's
you can be
true.
weird, like our kind of weird. Just don't be gross.
Yeah.
Like,
just don't be somebody who's trying to scam.
Yeah, no scammers.
Yes. It's on Facebook. It's private. Just search Widow Wives Club and make sure that once you submit your request, you submit all of the information. Thank you. Please. Thank you. Goodbye.
Also, everyone, announcement. We have a special edition of a holiday sweatshirt that just came out today. You need to see it. It's amazing.
And the backstory for the holiday sweatshirt is that when Mel and I greet each other on a holiday, we never say Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday or Happy Hanukkah. We just say Christmas or Halloween, because we all know that they can be happy and they can also be terribly hard. So we acknowledge the day with no feelings with it. And so it just says holidays on it. And it's an ugly sweatshirt style.
And I made it with many, many little hilarious details. So you'll have to look at it before purchasing it if you choose to do so, because it might make you laugh.
It's on our website, widowwedonow.com. It's in the shop, the merch shop. So go check it out.
Yes. And also, if you would like to help us keep the podcast going, please consider checking out Patreon. Patreon is a platform for creators like us, people that have podcasts, bands, musicians, artists,
glass blowers,
authors, all the creative things. We have 4 tiers available starting at $5 per month, and you get different things with different levels. One of the things is a shout out in episode, and that's at our Widow Bestie level and up. So we are going to do that right now. Our first patron is our secret dead husband, and we have a song for her. This is the song I made Anita audition with to hand clap tomorrow. I will do the honors. Clap your hands, stomp your feet, rockin' widows can't be beat. Thank you.
Yay. Okay, next we have Constance Dahlbeck,
David Kelly,
Dawn Satterwhite,
Gail Paxton,
Ivan the astronaut Misner,
Kat, and also thanks for facilitating the first LA area hang with Marie.
Good job, guys. Krista, wait.
Sam Finlayson, are you still sleeping?
You guys, the mysterious Amy. We now know who she is.
Oh, it's that Amy.
It's Amy Hartman Martell.
We love her.
We didn't know who it was for the longest time, and now we know.
I thought it might have been her.
Really? I had no idea.
I got a brand new pair of roller skates. That's for you. Amy Sapp.
Ashley Hahn.
Christina Shiflett.
Danielle Katterberg.
Not a Debbie Downer.
Dennis Barrazo.
Ann Winston. Jenny Taylor.
Jennifer Brown.
Jennifer Hassel.
Jenny Wang.
Kathy Murray.
Spooky Scary Kirsten.
Leslie Webb.
Marie Hoffman.
BT Dubs, The Hang was in Marie's garden, and any of you in the Widow Wives Club that have seen the pictures of her garden and landscaping and all the things she's done should be jealous.
I was jealous.
I know. I am too. Missy Schubert.
Woo woo. Rachel Barbosa.
Also at The Hang at Marie's. Sarah Morris.
Sylvia Shore, Mel's mom.
The newest connoisseur of built bars.
Really?
Yes, she really likes coconut and mint, I think.
I like both those flavors too.
Taylor Snyder.
Karen Cornejo.
Vicky Spit, are you alive?
Anna Tracy.
Christina Scambato.
Christine Anderson, raking the leaves.
And forgetting to come hang with us, and it's okay. We get it. Cindy Raynaud.
Mindy Holmgren.
Dawn, the barber of Fleet Street.
I hope not. Debbie Fells.
Diana Becker.
Isn't the barber of Fleet Street a murderer?
Yeah, somebody today, when I was playing at the church today and editing, the first round of editing, they're like, you guys should interview widows from prison. And I was like, well, we joke about that, but like, if you know any, let us know. Okay, keep going.
Debbie Fells.
Diana Becker.
Emily Thornton.
Emily Toledo. No chicken for us.
Erin Posick. We're trying to go see her.
Yes, Erin, please help us figure out if we're allowed in. I can't understand that site. Gabe Lozano.
Ian Sini.
Ileana Bell.
Jackie, my sister-in-law, who had a crazy tooth story this week. I'll tell you later.
Anita's mom, and I don't know if she likes built bars. Maybe my mom can let her try one. They should talk and gossip about us.
When they gossip about us. Jenny Barrow.
Jocelyn Milo.
Joy, the fancy lady.
Julie Stevenson.
Karina Jacobo.
Katie Radcliffe.
Kara Scara.
Lori Farrington.
Marjorie Lewis.
Mary McGowan.
Megan Montague, welcome.
Yay, welcome. Peter Rukavina.
Sarah Kennedy.
It's your day today. Quack,
come on
quack.
down.
Shannon Helm.
Daisy Saywert.
Yay, sunshine, the meme maker haven.
Tammy Schwartz.
Tara Wallace.
Valerian Root Packer.
She drove from North Carolina to here last week and back.
Ew.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a new widow. That's the story. But it's not her. Okay.
And last but not least, thank you so much to Rubber Cement Wendy, who helps us with all of our social media stuff.
I thought you were going to say Rubber Chicken Wendy.
No. I don't know. These things just pop into my head.
I love it.
Thank you to all of our patrons. You guys, we really cannot thank you enough. Like, we're still always so surprised that you guys all support us. So thank you.
And thank you because your donations help us to keep the podcast going, even when things happen like hard drives break. It helps us so that we can make sure our files are not lost. So thank you. If you are considering joining our Patreon, of course, it's totally optional and we still love you if you do not want to. But if you do want to, it's patreon.com/WWDN.
And if you want to just do a one-time donation, you can buy us tacos for a babysitter. I've decided to start saying that too, so I can go to Australia. And it's buymeacoffee.com/widow we do now.
And if you are not vibing with any of those options and you would like to help us keep the podcast going in a different way, we really would love it if you would consider writing a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps the podcast to be visible for those who need it when they are searching and maybe in isolation Like, we all know.
Plus, I'm really competitive and I just like lots of ratings and reviews. I want to win.
Sometimes Anita texts me and is like seriously like disturbed that we don't have like 1,000 reviews. So can you please help me out?
Please.
It would help me to not punch her.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding. Sort of.
All right. Sort of. Let's get to the episode, shall we?
Yeah.
I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
We're two young widows. We're looking forward to this episode, and we're just trying to help everybody figure out
Widow do
now.
This episode is sponsored by the Misner Family Foundation in memory of Elisabeth, the astronaut Misner.
Mel.
Oh, Anita.
Guess what?
What?
We have our friend Sarah here.
I know. And my most favorite thing about right now is that I know she's stressing out about not swearing.
Should we just have like a 30-second swear fest where she can just get it all out and we can just bleep it out? Go, Sarah. Just say all the words.
I'm scared you won't now. I don't want to swear in front of your mums. Motherfucking bollock. This piece of epic shit. I can't even do this. What the fuck am I doing?
This is my favorite.
Oh, motherfucker.
Good job. The old classic. Good job. Good job.
Can't forget that.
Okay. Hopefully that'll hold you over. Disclaimer to my mom and Anita's mom about the swearing.
If you're in the Widow Wives Club, you know Sarah. She is a stalwart and vocal member of our community, and we love and appreciate her. And we're so excited to be able to talk to her and get her story.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm just like, such a big fan.
We're a big fan of you.
Well, that's as it should be.
I knew that we would be good friends when you joined because you had cool hair. Your husband was cool.
Can I do my most fangirly bit right now?
Do it.
I was a fan before I even hit play. I was like, Widow we do now? That's making me laugh my tits off. That's hilarious. I love a pun. If you hadn't lived up to your title, then I wouldn't be here.
Sarah, tell us where you are.
I am coming to you live from my brother's old bedroom in Lichfield, which is a little sort of cathedral city in Staffordshire. It's in the Midlands in the UK, as you can tell from my accent, although my accent is a bit all over the place, but people think that I'm quite posh. I'm not at all. Common as muck.
Ooh, well, and Sarah, you are one of the facilitators for our Midlands group in the UK.
Have Widow will travel. Yeah, the Midlands is cool. Birmingham's cool. I can't wait to move back to Birmingham. It's the second city, but people might think Manchester's the second city, but don't even get me started.
We don't know any of it. What does that even mean?
Oh, right. Okay. So can I put it in America terms? It's like LA and San Francisco, and they both think they're better than each other. But actually, LA is great, and San Francisco got a chip on its shoulder, a bit like that maybe. And then you throw Manchester into the mix as well, and it's just, yeah, whoa. But I think it's because we're all like 2 hours from everywhere in this country that local rivalries can like exist the entire sort of north, south, east, west whole of the country.
Sarah, what do you do for fun, your job, your life? Who are you? Tell us a little bit about you.
How old are you?
Okay, well, I'm 39 now. I was 38 when I became a widow, which I believe is a good age because there's quite a few of us here who can say hands up, me too. I'm best friends with my cat. She's brilliant.
Oh,
she hates me talking to people on the computer though, so she won't turn up.
she's a diva.
She is a diva. I've been working for the University of Birmingham for 6 years now, 4 years in my current job, and my team are brilliant. So I run events for them, and it's so much fun. I'm stressing out about my first in-person event in a year and a half, which takes place on Thursday coming. It's a Halloween event. No one's ever done anything like this before. We've got like a sort of 120-year-old campus, and no one, as far as I know, has ever done any ghost tours of campus. Well, guess what? I'm doing them.
You have to. That's amazing. And why has there not been a ghost tour before now?
I know, it's almost like we're a really important seat of learning and we don't do that sort of thing. But I'm bringing my own style, my own energy to the place. People are quite used to me by now, I think. I'm the girl who goes in with pink hair and black Doc Martens at my age. Trying to blend in with the students, that's not going to happen.
So sorry that you're a widow like we are. We would love to hear a little bit about Nathan, because I remember when you were first posting about him and I was like, man, he's also good people. Tell us about him.
Technically, I was cosplaying as a Californian girl when we met online in 2003, because I was living in Long Beach, going to Long Beach State, go beach. So he was like, how does this blonde tanned Californian girl know so much about South Wales? I was like, well, actually I'm faking. I'm at university in Swansea. So when I finally sort of turned back up in the UK, I was like, don't know, he's not my type. Not really sure about this. 4 weeks later, we were snogging each other's faces off. And the worst thing, the outrage, was that when he met me, he was like, I'm not really sure I fancy her. I was 21, I was blonde, I was thin, I was gorgeous, I was just back from California. He liked my personality. I'm like, what? No, you should have liked me for who I was then. So I thought that we were just going to be friends, but yeah, that's what I told my mum. Look what I know. So we were together through thick and thin, thin, financial, thick waistline, for 17 years. We got married. We lived in sin for 6 years and then married in 2009, and it was brilliant. And he was such a big character, like in every sense of the word. He was a big, silly, fuzzy bear of a man, but he was like whip smart. He was a philosophy graduate. He was curious about everything, and he had an answer for everything as well. There aren't words enough in the language to say how much he loved music. He lived for music and he loved people, and he had the most amazingly loyal friends his whole life. He could just make a friendship in 2 weeks and they'd be friends for life. And I'm just like, how did you do that? It was magic, He could never define how he managed it. But like by no means was he a perfect man. His sense of humor was so cutting and rude and weird that quite often I felt like I was acting as his translator. For like when a joke bombed and everyone was silent and there was tumbleweed, I had to go, what he meant was. And yet that never put people off him. In fact, that they sort of warmed to him more. And I was like, it's magic. How does he do this? He was so open and joyful and friendly. And he kind of reminds me of Baloo from the Jungle Book. When he used to volunteer with the Scouts, that was what the Scouts called him. They called him Baloo. And that's just absolutely spot on. He really was just chill about everything. Like, he was really quite chill about dying from cancer. Like, how does that's not normal. But he had like such a great attitude and like a real philosophical like understanding of the world and everything in it. And he was just, he was a magnificent creature, and I miss him so much.
Did he work as a philosopher?
Oh my God, you shouldn't have asked that question. What didn't he do? When I met him, he was in IT for 20 years, desperately trying to get out of IT, which he never managed to do, apart from, getting cancer and getting signed off work. That wasn't quite the ending he had in mind. But when he was a kid, he was a gameskeeper, he was a pig farmer, he was a roofer, he was an au pair. What else did he do? He ran a bar. He basically did a bit of everything. And I think that sort of spoke to his he'd never worry about stuff. He'd be like, something will turn up, it'll be fine. That attitude was the opposite, and still is the opposite of my attitude. My attitude is everything needs to be planned out or else I'm not even getting involved. Whereas he's like, whatever, it's all good,
It sounds like you guys are the perfect puzzle pieces though. And your home life sounds so vibrant just because the two of your personalities in there. Like, were you ever bored?
No, not really. He got boring. Cancer makes people boring. Morphine makes people really boring.
He got boring.
When your partner doesn't get up until 10 in the morning and then goes to have a 2-hour nap at 2 and then goes to bed at 9 at night, suddenly you're like, right, this is bad. But I don't know. it seems like a really horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. And I'm a cancer widow, so you come to me for the unvarnished truth. We had to live with cancer in our lives for 4 years. So
you posted a picture, I'm pretty sure, I don't know how long ago, but it was of your wedding, and the look on his face was one of those looks that you just see in his eyes that he's looking at you like you're his world. And I love to see those pictures because sometimes you don't see that. There's like smiles and happiness, but there's sometimes like daggers at that person. Not bad daggers, but like, that is my person.
I think it speaks volumes that I'm 2 steps ahead of him. And he's looking at me. I'm trying to get out of there as fast as possible because he kind of embarrassed me because he was doing the sort of crying, doing his vows thing. And I was like, oh man, this is terrible. In that stupid way that women, well, not women necessarily, but mainly women worry about what other people think of them. I shouldn't have done that, but can't go back and tell myself that.
How long had you guys been together by the time he got his cancer diagnosis, and what did that look like?
So we'd been together 13 years, through 2 or 3 different houses, 2 different cities. He had done several jobs. I'd done a million jobs because I was temping, and just like my work situation was so unreliable, and we were just getting sort of settled down into jobs that we didn't mind, we quite enjoyed. And is there a word for someone who is a hypochondriac but is always sick? Like always, they're always right. Because I always thought he was a hypochondriac because like everything was always wrong with him, but he was pretty much bang on. There was always something a little bit wrong with him.
Maybe it's just called a chondriac.
Maybe, I think so. Yeah. So he realized that there was something wrong, and he got pain, and his skin went kind of yellow and weird, and we were like, uh-oh, kidney stones. So he went to hospital expecting kidney stones because his sisters had them, and they were like, sorry, you've got a massive weird looking mass on your kidney and we're just going to whip that straight out. I remember looking at the scans, like the normal nice round kidney on this side, and this side it looked like it was wearing some sort of like 80s hair metal wig. It was kind of spiky. And I was like, oh, damn, I don't need a medical degree to be able to see that is not a healthy kidney. That's not right at all. It was towards the end of the year, and the kidney was whipped out, and he was home, and everyone was patting themselves on the back because it's so unusual to find kidney cancer. When you find kidney cancer, it's too late. But yeah, we were like, wow, so lucky, amazing. And they were like, yeah, all clear, everything's great, no cancer. So we had 12 months of thinking there was no cancer. Well, I don't know, because I've got a fairly, some might say gloomy, I would say realistic outlook on life. I was like, nah. And then they found a weird spot thing in his lung. And when he was told that, he was by himself. He didn't get, for some reason I wasn't there with him, which is ridiculous given that I worked just across the road. And for like 3 or 4 weeks, he was convinced he'd got lung cancer, and he was petrified because, as far as he knows, and he did the research, lung cancer is real bad, real quick. So it was actually kind of a relief to him when he saw his actual consultant, and he went, no, it's from the kidney. And Nathan was like, phew. Which is, it's like, cancer widows are the weirdest people. I was talking to a cancer widow in the week, actually, who I hadn't met before. So it was great because I got to welcome her to the club because she was a new widow, and I've not done that. So I'm like, oh, wow, I'm becoming a bit of an old timer. And yeah, we all have our top 5 cancers that we couldn't deal with. And everyone, it's very personal to everybody. You know, I'm like, oh no, I couldn't deal with brain. Oh, pancreatic. Oh, not sure about that. Stomach. Oh, that sounds really bad too. And then you're like, no, kidney's fine. I can cope with kidney. I've done that before. It's batty. It's really strange, like the way that we have like our own sort of top 5, top 10. But that comes from like hard-won experience and getting to know an awful lot about drugs and treatments and stuff that's on the horizon, you know, stuff that's experimental. Absolutely bonkers.
It's like a lot of cancer widows will talk about getting their degree in whatever cancer their person has. You know, I now have a degree in kidney cancer or colon cancer or, you know, leukemia.
Honestly, I've tried to jettison all of that, as much of it as I can, because I did have a conversation with someone online a few months ago, and it got into the like, oh, and like my mum's on this drug and that, and it all kind of came back as a flashback kind of wave, and I was like, shit, I have to end this conversation. I can't. So as much as I would like to help people in the future, it's not now. Now is not the time for that. I can't. So yeah, I used to be an expert, but I've tried to sort of leave quite a lot of that behind for now, because it doesn't sit well with me at the moment. It's too much.
You probably don't need to know it either. I mean, you can make macaroni and cheese without knowing that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you experience a lot of hypervigilance and you're just like anxiety all the time?
That's just how I live my life. That's been the case.
Okay, so it was normal.
Oh yeah, no, I've had like generalized anxiety disorder for ages, probably since childhood, but it wasn't diagnosed until I was like 22. So kind of, yeah, the hypervigilance about every ache and pain, every cough and sneeze that Nathan had was bad, especially worse in COVID, of course, because we spent all of 2020 just trying to keep him safe. That was because we knew that he was vulnerable, like as vulnerable as you could possibly get. So I did that job well. I did really well looking after him. Spoiler alert.
He was just ballooing it over in the corner, he was whatever. He was
chilling out, watching Antiques Roadshow, having a cup of tea, you know, eating cereal for dinner. When he got really sick, like, you know, vomity sick, he was a big fan of cereal for breakfast, fruit for lunch, and then cereal for dinner, and that was fine. And some days it was an achievement if you could keep that down.
I remember you saying you hadn't been to the grocery store in so long, and you were just like, I haven't even left my apartment or your house. So you said he died in February 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. How long did it take you to leave your house?
Do you know what? The weight lifted, because I was like, well, I only have to care about me anymore, and who gives a rat's ass about me? You know, my priority had gone, and I was like, I can go around licking lampposts if I want. I don't care.
My kids do that, by the way.
So when you guys talked about like not suicidal ideation, but not giving monkeys about anything, I was like, oh no, that's not me. And thinking about it, actually that was me, but it was just expressed in a slightly different way. I don't drive, so I wasn't thinking about like hurling myself off a cliff. Actually, we don't have any cliffs here either, so that would have not been not a good shout.
Oh man. So okay.
So do you want my unvarnished experience of COVID, because it did end up in the house?
I would love, yes, tell us about that.
Because I'm not a COVID widow, but I'm a COVID widow adjacent. So Nathan was in hospital in December last year. God, what was last year? Yeah, December 2020. It's so hard. Dates are so hard when you're a widow, especially when you've had 18 months of weirdness like we all have.
Yeah.
So excuse me if I get any years wrong and sound crazy. So yeah, last December, Nathan was in hospital. It was touch and go as to whether he would be home for Christmas. He was home for Christmas. That was brilliant and horrible, because his breathing was so bad. He couldn't get upstairs. It was just awful. And I knew deep down, I knew it was his last Christmas. But I mean, we talked about everything, but funnily enough, I didn't mention that. I thought I'll keep that dark thought to myself. So by early January, he was back in hospital again. And then they started talking about palliative care at home or hospice. And like, it was fine in the fact that the hospital is like 3 miles from my house and the hospice is 2 miles from my house, you know. It was pretty handy being in that suburb of Birmingham. So towards the end of his stay in hospital, when we knew that, you know, hospital wasn't the right place for him, he got COVID in hospital from a patient. It was heartbreaking, and he knew the person, and he knew what had happened. Nathan had dropped something off his bed, and the bloke had been kind enough to pick it up. And then, like, I don't know, 8 hours after arriving on that ward, that bloke was whipped off the ward as quickly as possible, but it was too late.
Oh,
he had got COVID in the place where he was meant to be the safest, and I am still furious. And I'm not alone. Like, so many vulnerable people who needed looking after got COVID in hospital. And it's really hard being the biggest supporter of the NHS. I used to work for the NHS, and knowing that they weren't supported properly by the government in this country, and they were left to pretty much their own devices. And then there was like in America, you know, they couldn't get hold of PPE, and they weren't quite sure what they were doing, and they were doing their best. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. My husband got COVID at the end of his life, and COVID is like the second thing on his death certificate after cancer, and that's not fair. It shouldn't be there. We were so worried about whether that would compromise him being allowed to go to hospice. And I was like, because of course no one could visit in hospital. So the only way that I could have gone to visit him in hospital is if he had been dying in hospital. So we did get him to hospice. That was like, I punched the air. I'm like, yay, my husband's going to hospice. That ain't right. So yeah, so hospice meant that I could see him for 4 hours a day maximum. So he didn't get to see his parents, he didn't get to see his brother, his sister, his family, his friends. Like, we've got a list of people who wanted to come and see him, and they wouldn't allow anyone but me in.
That's so interesting, because on hospice, everybody is like, the plan is that they're going to die sooner or later. So you would think that they would not be worried about that as much as maybe in the hospital.
Yeah, but that was their protocols, and they were so apologetic about it. They were like, this is not how it should be. This is not how it is normally. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is how it is for me. we can't delay this thing. It's happening. It was exhausting. I had to go in every day in full PPE. So I had to go in there, wash my hands, get changed, apron, mask, visor, all of these, plastic gloves. I couldn't kiss him. I could hold his hand. I could touch him and stroke his hair and stuff like that. But I could have got away with it. No one was watching and telling me off. But it was a physical block between us, and it was a mental block as well. Like, I was like, I shouldn't get much closer because I'm clinically vulnerable as well. I've got lupus, so I was one of those people who was supposed to be shielding and looking after myself as well. But what's your choice? Are you gonna keep yourself safe, or are you gonna hold your husband's hand as he's dying? You know, like, it was a mad time. I hated it. And then of course getting home late, exhausted, mentally drained, physically drained, and then having to look after myself and having to like have a shower head to toe, you know, just in the hope that I wouldn't get COVID. And then he was in hospital. One of my favorite memories about that time was he transferred to hospice on the Thursday, and on the Friday night, I think it was a new series of QI on BBC Two. And so I was like, hey, do you want to like watch TV together? So we got on our phones, and he got a TV in the room, and that was really cool. And so we kind of watched it together, and there was like a bit like on Zoom, there was a stupid delay between like the laugh track and what I could hear and what he could hear, but it was so worth it. I felt kind of silly asking, which is just a weird thing to feel, but I'm so glad we did it, because that was the last really fun, good thing that we did, and it felt normal because we'd always watch TV together.
I have a question for you. Since Nathan was a philosopher, what was his view of death like?
That's a really interesting question. I think he had very big, deep thoughts that he didn't necessarily always share with me. We're both atheists, so we'd already decided that this is it, like, you know, and that's fine. I don't know. I think he was just scared about the death part. He wasn't scared about the forever after part. He was scared about will I be alone and will it hurt? And we actually had palliative care involved for 18 months. So scary when they dropped the P-bomb. Oh my God, he's gonna die. He's gonna die tomorrow. He's gonna die tonight. But it's just the people who know the most about those kind of medications that you need at end of life. They're the guys who know everything about painkillers. And he talked to that palliative care doctor, and he talked to some counsellors. And there is a sort of non-religious chaplain in that hospital as well, and he talked to him about the big thoughts. He did get some counselling, because of course, like, it's a terminal diagnosis can make you extremely depressed. And then he was isolated for that year in shielding as well. So I think he did get quite depressed. Life got smaller and smaller and smaller, and it was just kind of a bit sad to watch him sort of age 40 years in that 1 year. But yeah, I think he just kept his chin up. You know, he was quite logical and reasonable about everything. And I think his main concern was, what does Sarah do now? And yeah, we did all right. And I think I hated 2020, obviously, but I was grateful for the hateful year, because there's no way that I would have spent that much time with him normally, like going to the office every day. So yeah, everything got slower and smaller and sadder, but we had that time together. It was brilliant. Yeah, he was very into, like, I don't know, the Doors of Perception and the Doors more generally.
The Doors, the band.
The Doors, the band, and the Aldous Huxley novel. Yeah, don't know what brought him comfort, but he was just really good at Mind Over Matter. Maybe he should have been born in a different time. He could have been like, I don't know, the Dalai Lama or something. He was so chill about everything.
You said that he was worried about, what does Sarah do now? What does Sarah do now? How has it been after he died? How has it been?
What doesn't Sarah do now? Okay, so the first few weeks were dreadful, because guess what his parting gift was to me? He died on the Thursday afternoon, and by the Thursday evening, I realised that I got COVID.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I was eating some mac and cheese out of the microwave, and I went, this is the worst mac and cheese I've had in my entire life. It tastes of cardboard. What the hell? And then slowly the penny dropped, and I was like, is this a grief thing? Or is this, oh my God, I've got COVID, haven't I?
COVID, the gift that keeps on giving.
Isn't it? So that was crap, because what happened to my endless stream of visitors and my family supporting me and people cuddling me and looking after me in that first couple of weeks did not happen. And actually, do you know what? I'm fine with it, because when I think about it, I really fancy the idea of like a big Irish wake or the Jewish city shiva. I think it's just such a lovely concept, and it makes so much sense to me. Even as an atheist, I'm like, damn, that is how you should do these things. That is how you should honor people and look after family, and that's great. But deep down, I know that if someone was in my house longer than 20 minutes in the first month, I would have been so uncomfortable. It was like when people dropped in to see Nathan when he was sick, and they're just like, oh, I'm just going to pop round and see Nathan, it'll be lovely. I just had to do the housewife stuff. I had to put the kettle on, make the tea, make sure the house was tidy and clean, and all of these things that they didn't necessarily put on me, but I put on myself. How to be a good wife. I was thinking about how to be a good widow as well, you know? So I would have been really annoyed if someone had come round and gone, oh, shall I just do the washing up for you? I would have felt like I was letting the side down.
A lot of people, when they lose their person, if they've not been religious or believed in an afterlife, sometimes they start to. Sometimes they don't. And when we've interviewed experts as far as like EMDR and therapy, they say that the belief in a higher power aids in healing. So my question to you as an atheist is, what are your thoughts on that? Because there are a lot of people that are like talking about spirits and the woo-woo and all that stuff, and you are different. And I would love to hear your perspective. Yes, tell us everything.
Okay, so there's some bits here you might need to cut. So what's that phrase? There's no atheist in a foxhole. Everybody turns to someone greater and better than them in a panic. Well, no, because I feel that if I had done that for myself, never mind Nathan, you know, I would have been letting the slide down. I would have been letting Nathan down a bit, because we talked about this and we were happy. And I think that this might be too strong a word, but I think that people, possibly with the best intentions, possibly without the best intentions, pop up and look for vulnerable people who are going through stuff. And they're like, hey, we can help you. We can fix this. All you have to do is like believe in this with every fibre of your being and maybe pop some cash in the collection plate on a Sunday. And I'm like, come on now. Come on now. And it's so easy to get sucked into the normal way of doing things, even if that means nothing to you. Because in the UK, even though we're secular, we are still majority Christian, at least when it comes to sort of death traditions. So if you're not like, you know, very definitely Hindu or Muslim or Jewish, you sort of get lumped in with the people who want a cremation and want a gravestone and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that would not bring me joy. It would make me feel like I was chickening out, you know? I know I need to be true to myself and what me and Nathan believed in. So this is quite a funny story, actually. What happens to atheists who don't want the church involved in the middle of a pandemic? What happens is something called cremation without ceremony, which I've never heard of before. So essentially, the hospice sends your person off and you get them back in a box.
It's just no frills.
No frills. But damn, it's expensive. So I was quite happy with no frills. You know, poor widows can't be spending this much money on stuff. So it was really funny. This bloke, they were great. They kept in touch and everything, and I knew what was happening. And I knew where he was going to be cremated and all of this, and I knew what day it was going to be. And I was like, do I mark it? Do I not? I don't care. Really, doesn't matter. Then this bloke from the funeral home comes to my house in a suit and tie, knocks on the door, and gives me this massive grey gift bag, like it's got a parcel in it, a present. And it's this enormous grey tube of ashes that's really heavy, and I had no idea. And so like he's sort of bowing and scraping at the door and handing me this bag, and he just goes, from the crematorium, and runs off as fast as he possibly could. And I'm like, wow, what a job.
At least he didn't just leave it on the porch and ring the bell and run.
It's such a bad job. Yeah, I know. Like maybe he should get into something else. He didn't look like he was having a good time. Or like leave it with a neighbour. Sorry, you weren't in. Your dead husband is next door. Do you guys have this? Because we've only got like small houses and small front yards and stuff. So our bins are on the front. So quite often, if you've been in for your parcel, you'll find it in your recycling bin. He could have ended up in my recycling bin.
That would have been kind of funny.
Because there was no way, like, you know, in the winter that I was going to gather 30 people in a crematorium, which was all we were allowed, where we weren't allowed to stand next to each other or hug. I mean, crematoriums are no fun. So why on earth would I be like, hey, in the middle of a pandemic, let's have extra no fun in a crematorium?
Extra no fun. Did you guys have a memorial service or any sort of, were you allowed to do that? Did you do it later?
No. Well, we would have been allowed to do it, but I just like, this is crap. I don't want to. So that was the hard part, because then I was like, oh damn, what do I do? Like, I feel like I've left it too long and now it's kind of awkward. So what we did was actually against government regulations. Dun, dun, dun.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. Screw you, Boris. For many reasons, not just this. So 10 of us met in the local park, like behind my house. And that was, I don't know, maybe March or April, I think. And it was so lovely. And we just sat, and I brought a load of photos with me, and we just sat and we talked about Nathan, and I felt so close to him. And it's not often, I'm unfortunate in the fact that I don't feel like he's close to me very much. But that afternoon, he was so close to me. It was like he was there. It was magical. I really loved it. And then I don't believe in signs, but people like this story. There were like 2 or 3 little robins who kept coming back to us and who just wouldn't leave us alone. And I thought that was really sweet because, like, Nathan being a massive know-it-all about everything, people are like, oh my God, robins are so cute. Aren't they such cute little birds? And Nathan's response would have been, no, they're vicious. They're very territorial. They like actually hurt each other. They can kill each other. And I could just hear his voice being like, you know, a know-it-all and a show-off. And it was really funny. So actually, yeah, my robins have become a bit of a big deal.
Do atheists believe in energy? Like when the body dies, like the energy goes somewhere?
Yeah, Nathan was really very scientific. So we liked all of that, you know, stuff about Brian Cox and, I can't remember the guy's name. Nathan would kill me. Anyway, edit this bit out. Other scientists who talk about we are all made of star stuff. That's brilliant to me.
Is he a Stephen Hawking fan?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Carl Sagan and those guys. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, that to me is reassuring, you know, that the energy has gone somewhere. And everybody wants to be like, oh yeah, in the stars. I mean, it could be in mud or mushrooms or trees.
Robins.
Or robins. As far as I know, it could be anywhere. But
Legos.
Yeah. He would like that. Yeah, I think he would like that. Yeah, so that's reassuring to me. But the things that matters the most is his essential Nathanness, which sounds really wanky, and I'm sorry, but that's what I've said before. So we finally did get a proper sort of send off. Again, it wasn't proper because I'm not like, I'm devil may care. I'm not doing anything by anyone's religious rules here. I'm just freestyling over here. So there was like 35 of us. We ended up in the same park because it's close, it's local for me. And like Nathan's brother came, and this was the end of August, so we could travel and meet and hug and all of the things that we've been missing out on. And one of my neighbours brought homemade pizza, and people brought sandwiches and cake, and I told everybody that they had to bring Strongbow dark fruit cider, which you may need to beep this, is one of the things that I call a bitch beer. They're like, you know, hard ciders and beer, but they've got fruity things, you know, for the
ladies. Like a girly drink.
Exactly, a bitch beer. so yeah, Nathan was like a snob when it came to like gin and whiskey, and he knew so much about it, and he's one of those like, you know, like tasting and sampling and like talking about the top notes and all of these kind of things. But when we went to music festivals, which we did quite a lot, what he really wanted was a fruity cider, usually served warm out of a can at like 10:30 in the morning, you know, for the full experience. And it just made me laugh to think that everybody should be toasting him with dark fruit cider.
That is so funny. It sounds like Nathan lived life to the fullest. I mean, and actually he did, because then he died. So
yeah. He had no choice.
The fullest it could be.
Yeah. No, he did. I think he lived several lifetimes in one go, even though he wasn't, by no means is he an energetic kind of guy. I mean, both of us are built for like the domestic setting, you know, we like cooking and sitting down and then eating some more and sitting down again and then watching TV and sitting down. That was basically our sort of daily life. But yeah, we really enjoyed it. I know all of those boring things that I do now by myself, there's a place next to me that's not full anymore, and it's just daily just sad. Not heartbreaking, but just low level, gloomy, sad.
Even watching TV, it's funny that something so mundane can feel weird. And you tell us about you do some TV watching professionally. I don't know if that's the right term for it, but you're like a really good TV watcher.
I am creme de la creme of TV watcher. I am, yeah. So I think Nathan was a little bit ADHD. His brother was diagnosed with it at age 50, so that was quite interesting. It's obviously in the family. So he got me that sort of, what you call it, the kind of rhythm for him was like, get obsessed by a project, start a new project, oh my god, buy everything that's expensive for a project, then do it for maybe 2 weeks, never talk about it again. And I got into that habit with sort of hobbies and stuff as well. You know, I'd be obsessed by swimming for like about 2 months. Oh yeah, I love swimming, I'm going to get all of the stuff and I'm going to learn how to do it properly and it'll be great. And then just poof, you know, cycling, we did cycling for ages, poof, stops. The thing that I would do all the time was watch TV. And I really wanted an outlet to write as well. So sort of 5 or 6 years ago, I started my blog, deadpixeltest.tv, little plug. And I was just doing it for fun, for me. And then I realised people were looking at it and people liked the Scandi noir sort of like crime drama stuff. So I used to do like episode by episode guides.
Scandinavian, right?
Yeah.
Scandi noir?
Scandi noir.
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
It's a big thing in Britain,
Okay.
I promise you.
Okay.
What are some of the shows?
So there's The Killing and the Bridge, Borgen, just all kinds of amazing stuff that's been coming out of Denmark and Sweden for about the past sort of 10 years or so. It's brilliant. It's really good. Not necessarily the kind of thing that gets picked up on Netflix, although more and more they are looking to foreign dramas. So if you want like bleak and cold but beautiful interiors and cuddly jumpers and there's been a murder, oh my god, it's amazing. And then of course the UK has sort of like the vibe on our sort of police dramas has switched a bit as well, and we got things like Hinterland and Shetland, and again, you know, it's people looking pensively into the distance wearing cuddly jumpers trying to solve murders. Brilliant. It's like, it's just the kind of thing that you need for a winter evening in front of the fire.
So like Broadchurch.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Good knowledge. Good knowledge.
Her Majesty Olivia Colman.
National treasure. That's right. Yeah.
I've actually watched that one.
Good. We could be friends.
Now, Sarah, at our last Zoom hang, you announced that you had something very special and very exciting in your life that had come up. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So Nathan was always convinced that one day I would be a real writer, not just doing it for my blog or doing it with my friends on their blog or being on their podcast, which has been brilliant. It's been so much fun. But now a real editor for a real publication has read my stuff and decided that he wants me to work with him. So now I'm a proper freelance TV article writer. At time of recording, not been paid yet, but we'll see.
Okay, so you're not professional yet.
No, I'm on the cusp. I'm just nearly professional.
She's pending professional, pending.
By the time you hear this, hopefully, widows getting paid. But,
Yeah, that's what we like to hear. And you'll have to send us the link for your blog and for this article that you're writing too, because we'll put it in the show notes so that everybody can see how amazing you are. And I think it's so encouraging too to see that when your person dies, even though part of us dies with them, you still live. And there are still things to look forward to and live for. And so that's just one way that you're an inspiration to others in the world, Sarah. So like, how do you feel about that?
That's quite weighty. I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, I'll tell you about it now until you believe it.
Thank you. No, that's the thing. I've lost my cheerleader. Nathan believed I was potential. I had potential and I could do so much. And there was like, if I applied myself or even didn't, you know, and just looked into something cool, then it was going to happen for me. And now I'm like, damn you, Kennedy, you were right again. Even in death, you're still being right. It's so annoying.
That is annoying.
Yeah. No, talking about that sort of like transition. One of the first things that I read, I think, on a widow group, was like, "Oh, okay, don't worry, you'll become a whole new person." I was like, "No, that's not reassuring. That sounds terrible. What do you mean I have to jettison all of the stuff about me and like get into a chrysalis and become someone new? That's A, that's exhausting. B, kind of like who I am anyway, and also all of Nathan's influences. Like I'm such a stress head, but I was worse 20 years ago, if you could believe it." And I'm so grateful for all of that. Like, he literally did make me a better person, and I know that I'm not the only one in the world who could say that about him. So why does someone go, oh, you'll become a whole new person? Why do people think that's reassuring? Like, no.
It's so weird. It makes them feel better. I don't know. Like, as we go along in this widow life, we all post stuff on our Instagrams and whatever. And then we all have supportive comments. And then we have people that are like, yeah, but at least this, or, well, yeah, but what did somebody say on mine once? I guess I've just been cursed with the gift of being able to see things from all perspectives. And that's not the point, because I think actually a lot of us can see all the perspectives, and that's what keeps us silent at times. It's like, we're not saying and sticking up for ourselves. Like, well, what if I don't want to be another person?
Like you guys have said before, it's only your choice. If you get to say if this is a gift, you get to say if this is your at least. Nobody gets to put that on you, because it's not a nice thing to say. I know I'm so guilty of it, because when I read sad widow posts, I'm like, hey guys, it's okay, it'll be all right, at least blah blah blah. And then I'm like, oh Sarah, you're so annoying. Why do you have to be like this?
Oh, it's so hard, because we've all been there. And so developing empathy and I think awareness for where somebody is at and what they need to hear when they say those things is kind of key. But it's hard. I think it's one of the hardest things that I've had to learn, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously still like talking about myself. I am just fascinating, endlessly fascinating. And that's really big-headed, and I know it. But I think I am getting a little bit better at listening to people and really hearing them, especially if they're going through grief or trauma, or, you know, there's so many times now when people are like, oh, this bad thing's happening to me, where I'm like, okay, I'm listening and I am hearing you, but please get some counselling. Please get some counselling. like now, right now, stop what you're doing, get some counselling. I can't recommend it enough.
Pull over and go get some counselling right now.
Yeah. If it's safe to stop, do so and go and get counselling.
Oh man, Sarah, you are just one of our favorite people. We love your energy. We love your honesty. We love that you just tell it like it is. And you did such a good job with not even swearing through the whole thing. So kudos to you.
I was trying to think of some like British swear words that you might not necessarily think were really rude.
We won't even be aware of them. You can say all of them.
Exactly. But I couldn't find very many that were verbs. There were a lot of nouns.
Sarah, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time for the question.
The question.
This is the one I'm not prepared for. I'm just
How can you not prepare for this question?
It's the only thing you know we're going to ask you.
I can tell you about last weekend. Okay, hit me with a question.
What is your favorite cheese?
Okay, last weekend, I mean, all cheese is my favorite cheese. Obviously, that's the right answer. But last weekend, and it kind of, because I've been so busy at work, it kind of crept up on me, and I was like, why do I feel terrible today? Oh, it's my wedding anniversary. So I stayed in. Actually, no, I went to the shop, got home, got under a blanket, and in that time I had made a massive sandwich, which was like Subway BMT, but on steroids. Like, it was like
BBBMMMTTT.
Exactly. It was about, I don't know,
7.5 inches tall.
Yeah, exactly. About 8 inches of meat and cheese, and the cheese was really cheap, nasty sliced Gouda.
How did you even bite through that?
Oh, I tried.
You powered your way through.
She's like a snake. She can dislocate her jaw.
That was exactly it. Yeah, so I'm really glad that there was no one at home, because that was not pretty.
So was that Gouda really bad, and it's not your favorite cheese?
Oh no, mate, the Gouda was Gouda.
Okay. I see what you did there. Nice.
Yeah, I think, my favorite cheese is just whichever cheese is closest to hand. Or if you're feeling fancy, get a camembert or a brie, stud that with garlic and I think it's rosemary. Pop that bad boy in the oven in its little wooden box. Don't freestyle it because that'll dribble everywhere. for about, I don't know, like 10, 15 minutes. I mean, I'm not Nigella, so check the timings. And yeah, that'll be delicious with some toasty bread, all oozy and like unctuous and gross. And I've eaten one of those all by myself at Christmas. And do you know what? I might do it again this year too.
So Sarah, you're going to be meeting up with a couple of our other friends from the Widow Wives Club at some point, I know, coming up. The question is, are you guys going to have cheese, and are you going to tell us about it?
Yes. Yes and yes. Absolutely.
Okay, good. Tag us, please.
Will do.
And everybody, remember that if you are in the UK somewhere, get on our site and check under the meetups tab. And Sarah is one of the facilitators. So we want people to be able to hang out in person if things allow them to. And as you can hear, Sarah is super fun and super cool. And you would have a good time with her. And definitely you would have cheese.
Come to Birmingham and I will take you for the best tacos in the country. How about that?
Oh,
Let's
okay,
go,
Anita
Mel.
and
Let's
I
go.
are going to come then.
We're coming tomorrow. It's going to be great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. We hope our listeners have enjoyed Sarah. And remember to check out the Widow Wives Club. You can find Sarah in there and talk to her, find out more, get all the details. And if you want to keep the podcast going, check out Patreon and support us there. It's patreon.com/w. No. Yeah. What is it?
Patreon.com/WWDN. And if you would like to buy us some tacos, maybe even specifically tacos when we go visit Sarah, you can visit buymeacoffee.com/widowwedonoww.
And until we talk to you again, I'm Anita.
I'm Mel.
And I'm Sarah.
We're just two young widows and one widow who successfully censored herself for the entire interview, and we're all just trying to figure out
The whole podcast.
widow
We do now.
What the mother this just on a bike.
On a bike?
This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys, such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.